Howdy Hoopers, it's Shay Rippinger here of Hip the Hoopla, and welcome to the Hoop Love Y'all show, where we talk about health, humor, and hooping. So I'm your host, Shay Rippinger. I am a longtime hooper. I'm a health advocate, healthy health advocate. Healthy health, that's kind of a little redundant, but uh, we used to have a health food store. I believe in trying to get natural nutrition, natural as much as possible, and do all of that kind of thing. And tonight's theme is help. So, why this theme, you ask? It's an interesting theme. So, interestingly enough, I want to get into a story about my mom a little bit later when I go through some some ways of getting some help. But when I was discussing this with my husband this morning, he had a really good story that he said, well, here's a really good example of why you get help. And he's a color expert. And so um, there was a customer he was working with, and they were trying to work on it, to getting this certain color of orange. Now, in the printing world, this is a very important thing, and this is why he gets paid, good money to get these colors matched exactly. So this company messed with this color, trying to get this done for 3 days. So that's 3 days worth of spending money on payroll, racking brains, beating the head against the wall, and all that kind of stuff. They called him in. He was in there 5 minutes. He got that orange figured out. So this is why you go to the experts. This is one of the reasons why you go to the experts. So, or seek help, I should say. So, three kinds of help that I wanted to go over tonight. And one, which I already mentioned, hello, thank you all for joining me. And and if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the box. And I will try, although I won't type because you'll hear me be silent if I go typing. I'll try and respond to everything after the show. But if you have questions, type them in and I will get them answered live on the video. And then either you can watch it live or watch the recording. So thank you again for being here. Okay, so we're going over the theme of the show, which is help. And there are three kinds of help. So as I mentioned before, the first one is expert help. And when you're seeking the expert help, that is really helpful because a lot of times we just try and, like I said before, beat our heads against the wall. And, that may or may not work for you. And, maybe you have all the time in the world to try and figure out and seek an answer to whatever's driving you nuts, or you need to learn, or you need to advance in something. But one of the cool things is you can just cut that learning time down to a minuscule amount, because when you go to an expert, they've already spent the time learning their craft, and so they can give you the Cliff Notes version. So if you all remember school, where a lot of people got the Cliff Notes version, which is the condensed, shortened version of the big books, and so you didn't have to read the big books, which of course your English teachers would always nail you on because they were already hip to that. So, but anyway, so that expert help, you can really cut your time, the learning time. So an example of this, for instance, is I do a complimentary hoop consultation. So when I make hoops, these custom handcrafted hoops, these are a couple examples of them. These are my very own. I sometimes even actually have time to make things for myself. Um, and so interestingly enough, I have lots of information since having been in hooping since 2008. At the moment now, that makes me a 10-year expert of, that sounded like tenure. Tenure, like how the educational system works with tenure. Not quite that. I don't know that there's a tenure in hooping. There is an experience level. But anyway, 10 years of experience. So I wish somebody would have been around when I first started hooping, and I could have saved a lot of time and money by learning about things that, like, oh, if I was a beginner hooper, what would be a good hoop size for me? Maybe a bigger hoop than this one, because like if I didn't know when I first started out that, when you go, you think a hoop is a hoop is a hoop, and you go to the toy store, or you just grab a hoop and it may be like literally a toy store hoop. Well, turns out they're made with kind of inferior tubing. They may be pretty, but they're small and they're light and not adult size. So you may not know that, being a beginner hooper. But if you come to me, I will let you know some of this stuff off the bat. And so when you know this, you can make better informed decisions. So if you're going to spend some money with me, which, that would be lovely if you did, if you don't, that's okay too. I'm not going to pressure you into buying something that you don't want to buy, and I do make custom hoops. But I go to what your needs are. And so what your needs are may be different than what somebody else's needs are. For instance, I've worked my way down to this size hoop. And but I didn't start here. This took a lot of practice and effort. So knowing some of these things, and knowing like how to, okay, if you're going to spend some good money on a hoop, like, okay, maybe you don't go to the dollar store and buy a crappy dollar store hoop. And again, nothing wrong with buying those for some kids because they're going to destroy them. But this might be like, a much more expensive hoop. So this is an investment because you're going to be using it if you are doing things with it with hooping. So you want to protect that investment. So I can also tell you the care and feeding of your hoops. Like, don't leave them out in the car. Whatever you do to a baby, or a puppy or kitten, would you leave them in a hot car? No, don't do that. Would you leave them in a cold car? No, don't do that. Bring them inside. Bring them into room temperature. Your hoops will last longer. They'll function better. Your tape won't do all kinds of weird, funky things. And you'll be a lot happier with the results. So this will hold up way better over time for you. So again, I've made a lot of these mistakes. So I've wasted a lot of money figuring this stuff out. But I'd rather shortcut this for you so you don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars like I have over the years learning this the hard way. Again, beating yourself up against on the wall or against the hoop. Again, this is a humorous show, so we do the humor here. Do? Yeah, it's something like that. We're giggling already, all right? So we'll do the laughter yoga part at the end here. Okay, so the expert help. Another way of getting expert help, of course, you can go to your experts. One cautionary thing is that just because somebody is a professional doesn't mean that they're necessarily great at what they do. So a cautionary thing is get some references. So hopefully there's some references online that you could get some references from friends, whatever the case may be, because I've learned my lesson that just because they're a professional, which means you take money in for what you're doing, doesn't mean they're good at it. I've had lots of examples of that. I won't even go into those, but just suffice it to say, make sure your experts are good professionals. So, yeah. Now, another way of getting some help and not having to do everything yourself and learn everything, like, again, why create the wheel when somebody's already not only created the wheel, but created the wagon, and they're already rolling and moving, and they've already advanced the technology? Why start back here when you could be over here? So go for that. That's one of the reasons why you get help. So network is the second version of help. And I have the example of this is when my mom got cancer, and she didn't want anybody to know that she had gotten cancer. She was not, it's not something that you like fess up to and stuff like that. I didn't know how I was going to handle mine when I got mine. And of course, if you've been following my story, you know this, and it's healing a lot better. It's still a little funky looking, but this little 4-inch gash, whatever, it's doing better. But anyway, one of the things that I told her to do when she got cancer, instead of tell nobody and seal it up, like lock it up tight, which is bad for your emotional state as well, is to tell everybody. That's what my advice to her was. Because that help that came in for her, that ended up coming in for her, was the network, her network of friends, family. People came out of like the woodwork out of her network. So, for instance, we had a health food store. This is one of the reasons why she didn't want to tell people she had cancer, because she was embarrassed, like because when you own a health food store, you're supposed to be healthy, right? And you're not supposed to have any stress, and everything's supposed to be all roses and lollipops. Well, it wasn't. She got cancer. It was bad. She didn't have it seen for a while, so it got worse than, anyway. But it turns out that when she touched upon her network, people started helping her out. And so she got references to doctors, natural things. Um, People were helping out, whether it be when we had to close our store, different things like that. Like one of our customers came in and drove her truck and helped take all the bookshelves that we had down and delivered them to my house. So, help that we didn't even see coming. So, and if she wouldn't have asked for help, then, that would have been an interesting thing, and it would have been a lot harder. Not only for her, but her network around her, because we all needed help, not just her with the caretaking and stuff. So that was a really neat thing that transpired with that. So the third type of help, you might want to think that self-help is one of those things. Oh, I want to backtrack just a little bit here because I had a thought about that. My mom's cancer, I have a feeling, this is my personal thought, is that um, we all go through things for reasons and we learn lessons from them. And asking for help was seriously her biggest lesson from getting cancer, because she was a strong, independent woman. She didn't want to ask for help from anybody, and that was like showing vulnerability and showing that you're not strong enough on your own. And I think when you can step out of the way, and a lot of people argue that it's step out of the way of your own ego and be vulnerable and ask for help. That is it's a even stronger position to be in than trying to just do it all yourself and put on the facade that you can do it and that you don't need anybody and you don't need anybody's help. So that being said, that was a really big lesson from my mom. It was a lesson for me that I had already knew about that. So when I came time for mine, I did seek help and stuff like that. So a lot quicker too. So you can again get to the finish line of where you're trying to go with your goals. And it may not be the finish line, but just advance your, what you're trying to do. Okay, so the third version of getting help, as I mentioned, some people think of self-help. Okay, so that's just, you could think of it as like going to Google, like if you have a question, are you just going to sit there and just ponder it and just go, I think I can make up a scientific theory here, and whatever, to back up whatever you need information on. No, not necessarily, but you might go to Google, so that might be your source of help. Um, but my third thing, I would venture to say, of intuitive help. So if you know yourself well enough, and what I'm talking about is you really tap into your own self, your brain, your heart. You use these two big organs here, and I do mean kind of in the metaphorical, not just in the physical. Like, yes, your heart beats and your brain, pumps out hormones and blood, and it helps your body function and send signals, all that. We already got that. That's kind of for the most part, everybody's got that handle, pretty darn well. But what I'm saying is tap in even deeper than that, almost on a soul level, to your intuitive nature. So, and this is like, when you meditate, sometimes you already know the answers, and if you need a demonstration of how this works, the next time you come up against a big decision that there's two things, and you're just like, what do I do? This one or that one? This one or that one? This one or that one? Pick one, and then see what your gut reaction is on deciding one of those, because you'll probably pick one and go, yes, that's totally it. That's right. I feel really good about that. Or you'll be like, oh, heck no. and that won't be right. So in your gut, you actually do know. So like literally, you can do that and flip a coin, and mark heads and tails, and this one is heads and this one's tails. And so pick one of those, and then see what your gut reaction is, your heart, your brain, what that's thinking. So you can use your brain and all the logic you want, but sometimes you just have to go within and find your own answers within. So I offer that up to you to really tap into your intuition. On that intuitive note, I believe in angel messages too. So I believe that, and that kind of fits in. It straddles the network and the intuitive. So it may be coming from yourself, but it may be coming from your angel sources. My mom used to call it getting hits, and so like literally, you might be just in the shower and or taking a walk or petting the dog or something like that. Usually these come when you're relaxing and not when you're beating yourself up trying to figure stuff out. So when you remove yourself from the situation, you give yourself a break, and then all of a sudden something literally hits. Just like I have an idea, light bulb moment, ding ding ding, and that's a really cool thing. So run with that. I believe a lot of these things are your angels coming in. All the past information is downloaded, and I would love to be able to tap into all of it all the time. I think children have the ability to do that. I think most of us, if you've ever been around small children before they've had everything programmed out of them, they are a lot more intuitive. Like they might actually see, you know, people beyond or whatever, and get the voices and stuff like that, or whatever, but the veil is very thin for them. And then as we grow older, we kind of get clouded over, and then we don't necessarily trust all of that intuition. But those, I know this to be true because my mom was a health expert, and there are times where I get very quiet and I listen and I really try and pay attention and observe. And signs and symbols will come to me that help reinforce what I'm trying to think of. So perhaps it might be, I have, a cabinet full of vitamins. I don't want to take everything right now. But maybe I'm dealing with something, and, my mom would always have great advice for me. So, I remember she would always, say, did you take like for instance, if you have a cold or something like that, if I had a cold back in the day when I used to get sick a lot more and with a lot more stress, and she'd be like, did you take vitamin C? How about echinacea, garlic, hot liquids, juice? And I'd be like, yeah, 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 I did that. Did you gargle with salt water? I knew about that, but I forgot that one. I'm like, no, I haven't done that one yet. And so that would be a reminder. So my mom, kind of like filters these messages still through me in kind of that way, and they're funny to me still. So like she sends some humorous universal messages too. So and that's everybody has a different belief system. But anyway, I just offer that out there for you, that you may have some angels conspiring on your behalf that are out to help you. So pay attention, listen, and meditate if you can. That will help you get back in tune with your own intuitiveness and really respect the messages that you're getting. So, and it's taken me a long time to get to meditating, and I'm getting better at it, and I'm doing it for a little bit longer now, which is really a big step for me. Yeah, so give that a try if you can. And there's lots of different types, so you don't have to just sit there and chant or do Om, or sit there for an hour or whatever. There's lots of different types of meditation, so give that a try. It helps your stress levels. It helps to tap into your intuitive nature, and helps with a lot of different things. So, and it helps your brain function really well too. So, and new neural pathways, which I really love. Okay, so we've covered this help topic. I want to get to some hooping, and I don't see any questions popping in just yet, but feel free to ask us questions if you need. So tonight is help. So if you have any specific hoop questions of like how to do something, I'll go over some other stuff in case there aren't any questions. But again, move my chair out of the way. Oh, by the way, today's t-shirt inspiration is, this is representative of the angel messages, the intuitive getting help. So, getting the ego out of the way and just asking the experts, whether here or beyond. And, yeah, so watch who you ask. Remember about that. All right, so we'll get started with a little bit of waist hooping, and let's do that little laughter yoga exercise. And if you have a hoop, great. If you don't have a hoop, you can just follow along and do the laughter yoga exercise part. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in, and let's just take the arms and raise them over the head. And then exhale it out, laugh it out. And then inhale it in. And exhale and laugh it out. And then one more time, inhale it in and laugh it out. Okay, so, and some foundational help tips on this of just getting just the waist hooping. Make sure you use a proper size hoop, and proper means proper for you. It doesn't mean proper for next person, this person, that person. We all may have different hoop sizes that we like. And this has to do with, hoop is a metaphor for life. So just because one person's doing one thing doesn't mean you have to do it too. But it may motivate you to do that if maybe you're not at that level just yet. Maybe you see it and then you know it can be done. So that's another way of using help as well. So, and also knowing this, know that there's always going to be somebody better than you, and there's going to be somebody that's not at your level yet. So you work your judgment calls accordingly so that you don't have to always, be hard on yourself, okay? So, that's a Shay help tip from today. So, all right, so your recovery moves, one is to speed up if the hoop goes down. Gravity, remember gravity, our friend, except for when you're aging. There's a humor joke. Okay, so gravity will get the hoop to go down, and slowing down will get the hoop to go down. So you never have to really worry about the hoop going down. That's pretty easy. But getting it to come back up again is a whole nother story. So if you speed up, it will come up. So if it starts slowing down, you can speed up, and that can help bring it up. And this can bring it up from legs to hips to waist to chest and all the way up too. So you can definitely work that. So again, bigger size hoop will be a little bit easier to use. So if you want to, it will have slower rotations, bigger and heavier hoop. So smaller and lighter, you will have to hoop a little faster. So see the difference in these sizes? So again, I've practiced a lot to get to this level. Also, with asking for help, you need to A, be open to learning, B, learn it, and then C, practice and use it. Because if you just learn and learn and learn, as my husband will always attest to me, and if you don't put it to use, it's either money or time wasted. So you want to use what you're learning and apply those principles accordingly. Okay, so spinning with the hoop is my favorite recovery move. Okay, there's also duck in. I'm going to use my bigger hoop because I'll have a little bit better success with it. So the duck in move for the recovery is to duck in, and what you're going to do is go in the direction that your hoop is turning in, which is also known as the current, and do a little hip speed wind up. So drop down. So you drop down to catch the hoop. You're going to do a little speed wind up. It's kind of like a little quarter of a turn with the hip. You're going to make contact with the hoop, and you're going to try and pop that back up so that you can get that back up on the waist. So you duck in and bring that back up. And you may have to do that more than once. Okay, third method of recovery is to turn in the direction that your hoop is spinning in. So if my hoop is spinning this way, I'm going to turn this way. Notice that the hoop slows down a little bit. So try those recovery methods, and those basics will help you. See how this theme just keeps falling into place? These recovery moves will always help you in whatever new moves that you're learning. So incorporate those, and they will be very helpful to you in learning new moves. So especially with on-body moves, but they're also helpful for where's my alarm? Oh, stop. There we go. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. I had an alarm going, and it just went off, and I pressed all the wrong buttons. Okay, so getting all of these together is going to be very helpful for getting your new moves. So even when you're turning with this, even when you have this off the body, when you, let's say you turn with the hoop, I'm going to switch back over to my small hoop, and I'm even going to go tiny hoop just because I'm in my office and I wanted to demonstrate this particular move. So for instance, when I'm doing a hand pass, especially with a smaller hoop, this is going to be a little tough to do this, but if I turn with this is going to make this a lot easier. So again, even with off-body moves, those recovery moves are going to be very helpful for you. So try those, use those, and see if that helps you. Okay, so this has been Shay Rippinger of Hip the Hoopla. Please visit my website, www.hipthehoopla.com. And if you have questions, type them in. I will try and respond to everything. And if for some reason, if I'm not responding to you, it might have meant that I just didn't see it. So I do this every week on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. And yeah, visit the website. And also, if you would like some help and motivation, go to my website and you can sign up for my email. And that will give you a 10 motivational tips, which is a great help. So sign up for that. And we'll see you on the next one. I may need to take a break the next week. I may do a show. I'm not sure, but if nothing else, I'll record a short one, and I might have to record and load it manually. So you may just get the recording of it. But anyway, because next week is a holiday weekend, and I'll actually be traveling. Yay! All right, rock on. Peace out. Bye.